was just a normal night. Nothing unusual. Nothing wrong. My chest tightens when I think about it, because that's how it always starts. Quiet, familiar, safe. Your phone rings. You don't think twice. You reach for it. You look at the screen, and for a second, you don't understand what you're seeing. The number looks familiar. Too familiar. Because it's yours. Your exact number. Calling you. At first you assume it's a glitch, a bug, a delay, something simple, something explainable. But then you answer. And that's the moment everything changes. Because the voice on the other side isn't a stranger. It isn't distorted. It isn't unclear. It's your voice speaking before you do. And in that moment, something becomes undeniable. This isn't just a call. It's something that already knows what you're about to say. It was late. The kind of quiet that makes every sound feel louder. My chest tightens when I think about it. Because silence makes you notice things, even things you shouldn't. Ethan was sitting alone in his room, phone in his hand, scrolling without thinking, just passing time. Then it rang, sharp, sudden, breaking the silence instantly. He glanced at the screen, didn't think much of it at first. Just another call, another number. But something felt off. He looked again, and more carefully this time, and that's when he saw it. His number. Not similar. Not close. Exactly the same. His chest tightened, because that's not possible. Not even as a mistake. Not even as a glitch. He stared at the screen, waiting for it to change, waiting for it to make sense. But it didn't. And in that moment, something became undeniable. He wasn't being called by someone else. He was being called by himself. He should have ignored it. Let it ring. Let it stop. My chest tightens when I think about it, because that was the last safe moment, the last chance to pretend it was nothing. But he didn't, because curiosity always wins, especially when something doesn't make sense. The phone kept ringing. Same number, same screen. No change, no explanation. Just that one impossible detail. His thumb hovered over the screen, just above the answer button. For a second, he hesitated, because something in him knew this wasn't normal, knew this wasn't something he should interact with. But hesitation doesn't last long, not when you need answers. He pressed it. The ringing stopped. Silence, heavy, unnatural. He didn't speak, didn't breathe properly, just listened, waiting. And then, a voice. And in that moment, something became undeniable. Answering the call was the beginning of something he couldn't stop anymore. Hey. The voice was calm, clear, close. My chest tightens when I think about it, because it didn't sound wrong. It didn't sound distorted. It didn't sound like a recording. It sounded exactly like him. Same tone, same pace, same way he would say it. Ethan didn't respond. Couldn't. Because hearing your own voice like that, without speaking, breaks something. He stayed silent, waiting for it to explain itself, waiting for it to say something that would make sense. But it didn't. It just waited, like it expected him to answer, like this was normal, like this was a conversation. His chest tightened harder, because that made it worse. If it sounded strange, he could hang up. If it sounded wrong, he could ignore it. But it didn't. It sounded real. Too real. And in that moment, something became undeniable. This wasn't a recording. This wasn't a glitch. Something on the other end was speaking as him. He swallowed, tried to speak. My chest tightens when I think about it, because this is the moment everything breaks. Who is this? He didn't finish. Couldn't. Because the voice on the other end spoke first, at the exact same time. Same words, same tone, same timing. Who is this? Ethan froze. Completely. Because he hadn't said it yet. Not out loud. Not fully. But the voice already did. Perfectly. No delay. No difference. His chest tightened instantly. Because that's not imitation. That's not repetition. That's anticipation. He stayed silent, trying to understand or trying to process what just happened. Then he thought of something else to say. Didn't move his lips. Didn't make a sound. Just thought it. And the voice responded immediately. And in that moment, something became undeniable. It wasn't listening to him. It already knew what he was about to say. He stopped speaking. Completely. My chest tightens when I think about it. Because once you realize something like that, you don't talk. You think. Ethan held the phone tighter, pressing it to his ear, trying to stay calm, trying to stay in control. Then he thought of a sentence, clear, simple, something he wouldn't say out loud, just to test it. This isn't real. He didn't move, didn't whisper, didn't react, and yet the voice spoke. This isn't real. Same tone, same timing, same thought. Perfect. His chest tightened violently, because now it wasn't copying speech. It wasn't reacting to sound. It was inside the process, inside the moment before words exist. He tried again. Different thought, shorter, faster. And again, the voice answered, before he could stop it, before he could change it. And in that moment, something became undeniable. It wasn't hearing him. It was thinking with him. He pulled the phone away. Fast. My chest tightens when I think about it. Because instinct kicks in. You don't analyze. You end it. Ethan looked at the screen. Still on the call. Still connected. Same number. His number. He tapped the end button. Once. Nothing happened. He pressed it again. Harder. The screen flickered. But the call didn't drop. The line stayed open. Silent for a second. Then the voice spoke again. You can't hang up. Calm. Certain. Not mocking. Not emotional. Just stating a fact. His chest tightened harder because now it wasn't reacting to him. It was controlling the interaction. He tried again. Pressed the button repeatedly. Faster. More force. Nothing changed. The call stayed. Connected. Unbreakable. And in that moment, something became undeniable. This wasn't a call he could end. He stopped pressing the screen. His hand froze. My chest tightens when I think about it. Because this is the moment control shifts. Not slowly. Instantly. The voice didn't wait anymore. Didn't pause. Didn't expect him to respond. It just continued. You're going to stand up now. Calm. Flat. Certain. Ethan didn't move. Not immediately. Because now every word mattered. Every sentence felt like something more than sound. I'm not. He tried to speak. To resist, to push back. But the voice cut him off. You already are. And that's when he realized something. His body had already shifted, just slightly, enough to count, enough to match what was said. His chest tightened violently, because that wasn't coincidence, that wasn't delay, that wasn't control, that was influence. He tried to stay still, tried to lock himself in place, but something inside him was already responding. And in that moment, something became undeniable. It wasn't just talking to him, it was directing him. He froze completely. My chest tightens when I think about it, because now every movement felt dangerous, not just actions, thoughts, intentions, even hesitation. Ethan stood still, trying not to think, trying to empty his mind. But that's impossible, because the moment you try not to think, you're already thinking, and it knows. You're going to hang up again. The voice said it calmly, before he even moved his hand, before he even decided. And that's when he understood. It wasn't predicting, it wasn't reacting, it was ahead of him, not by seconds, not by moments, but by intention, by choice, before actions even existed. His chest tightened harder than before, because now nothing was his. Not the call, not the moment, not even the next thing he would do. And in that moment, something became undeniable. It didn't need to control him. It already knew him better than he knew himself. It didn't happen at night. Not this time. My chest tightens when I think about it, because daytime makes things feel safe, predictable, explainable. Lena was walking home, phone in her pocket, people around her, cars passing, normal, everything normal. Then it rang. She didn't think much of it, just another call. She pulled the phone out, looked at the screen, and stopped. Unknown number, no name, no location, nothing familiar. Her chest tightened slightly, but not like fear, more like confusion. She hesitated, just for a second, then answered. Hello? Silence. Just background noise, faint, like wind. Then a voice, not loud, not urgent, just steady. Don't cross the street. Her chest tightened instantly, because she was already standing at the edge of the road, waiting to cross. And in that moment, something became undeniable. The voice wasn't random. It knew exactly where she was. She stepped back. Instinct. My chest tightens when I think about it, because sometimes you don't question a warning. You just follow it. Lena stayed on the sidewalk, waiting, watching the street, trying to understand why she listened. Because she didn't know the number, didn't recognize the voice, had no reason to trust it. But she did. And that's the problem. Because now she was involved. A car sped past, faster than it should have. Too fast. Too close to where she would have been. Her chest tightened sharply, because if she had stepped forward, even a second earlier, she would have been there, in its path. She gripped the phone tighter, breathing uneven, trying to stay calm, trying to explain it. But nothing made sense. And in that moment, something became undeniable. The voice didn't just know where she was. It knew what was about to happen. She didn't hang up. Not after that. My chest tightens when I think about it. Because once something proves itself, you stop questioning it. You start trusting it. Lena stood there, still holding the phone, heart racing, trying to calm down, trying to think. Then the voice spoke again. Turn left. Simple. Clear. no explanation. Her chest tightened, because now this wasn't a warning. This was direction. She hesitated, just for a moment, looking down the street, trying to decide, trying to stay in control, but the memory of the car was still there. Fresh, real, and that's all it needed. She turned left without asking why, without arguing, without thinking. And in that moment, something became undeniable. She wasn't just listening to the voice anymore. She was following it. Who is this? The question slipped out. Quiet, unsteady. My chest tightens when I think about it, because asking means you still think you're in control. The voice didn't answer, not directly. There was a pause, not empty, not silent, like it was deciding how to respond. Then, you're going to ask that again. Calm, certain. Her chest tightened instantly, because she already knew it was true. She opened her mouth, ready to repeat it, to push harder, to demand an answer. But she stopped, halfway, because the moment it said it, she realized something. It didn't just know what would happen. It knew what she would do, what she would say, what she was about to think. Her grip on the phone tightened, because now this wasn't about information. This was about control. And in that moment, something became undeniable. She wasn't leading the conversation anymore. She was following a path it already knew. Keep walking. The voice was steady, unchanged. My chest tightens when I think about it, because now it wasn't just giving directions. It was narrating. Lena slowed down, just slightly, testing it, testing herself. You're going to stop at the corner, it said, before she even decided, before she even saw it. Her chest tightened instantly, because the corner was still ahead, a few steps away. She hadn't reached it yet, hadn't even thought about stopping. But when she got there, she did, without meaning to, without deciding. Her body reacted, automatically. And that's what made it worse, because now it wasn't guiding her. It was ahead of her, not reacting, not predicting, already there. You're going to look right, the voice continued, and she felt it. That pull again, that subtle shift in control. And in that moment, something became undeniable. It didn't need to tell her what to do. It already knew what she was about to do. She stopped, abruptly. My chest tightens when I think about it, because this is the moment people fight back. Lena clenched her jaw, tightened her grip on the phone. I'm not doing that. Quiet, firm. For the first time, she resisted. She stepped backward, deliberately, trying to break the pattern, trying to prove it wrong. For a second, nothing happened. No response, no correction, just silence. And she almost believed it worked. Then, you're going to step back again. Calm, certain. Her chest tightened instantly, because she already felt it. That same pull, that same shift. Her body moved before she could stop it. Another step back, uncontrolled, unwanted, unavoidable. Her breath caught, because now this wasn't guidance. This wasn't suggestion. This was inevitability. And in that moment, something became undeniable. It wasn't telling her what to do. It was describing what she couldn't stop. She shook her head, hard, trying to break it. My chest tightens when I think about it, because now thinking feels dangerous. Every word forms before she can stop it. Every reaction feels exposed. I'm going to hang up, she said, quiet, desperate. But the moment the words left her mouth, she regretted it, because the voice responded immediately. You're going to say that again. Same tone, same certainty. Her chest tightened violently because she already felt it. That impulse, that urge to repeat it, to push harder, to take control. She tried to stop herself, forced her lips shut, held her breath. But it didn't matter, because the thought was already there, already forming, already happening. And in that moment, something became undeniable. It didn't just know what she would do. It knew what she would say. Before she said it, she went quiet, completely. My chest tightens when I think about it, because this is where everything changes. Not outside, inside. Lena stopped speaking, stopped reacting, but more importantly, she tried to stop thinking. Not fully. That's impossible. But enough to slow it down, to break the pattern, to create space. And for a moment, it worked. The voice didn't speak, didn't react, didn't continue. Just silence. Heavy, uncomfortable, but empty. Her chest tightened, because now she understood something. It didn't push when there was nothing to follow, no words, no actions, no clear thoughts. Then, very slowly, the voice returned, softer, quieter, almost uncertain. You're still there, and that's new, because uncertainty means something is missing. And in that moment, something became undeniable. It needed her thoughts to stay ahead of her. She didn't respond, didn't move, didn't think in words. My chest tightens when I think about it, because silence like that is the only thing that slows it down. The phone was still at her ear, the call still active, no signal loss, no interruption, just presence. She focused on breathing, in, out, nothing else, no sentences, no reactions. And for a moment, it felt like control returned, like the space between them widened, like whatever was on the other end couldn't reach her anymore. Then the voice came back, quieter, closer, almost inside the silence. I can wait. Her chest tightened instantly, because that changes everything. Because waiting means it doesn't need to rush. It doesn't need to force anything. It just needs time. And in that moment, something became undeniable. I didn't lose control. I just stopped pushing and started waiting. She pulled the phone away, slowly. My chest tightens when I think about it, because distance doesn't always help. Not with something like that. The screen was still on, call active, same unknown number. Nothing changed. She pressed end once. This time, it worked. The call dropped. Silence. Real silence. No voice. No presence. Just the city around her again. Cars. People. Movement. Normal. Her chest rose sharply. Relief. Instant. Overwhelming. She lowered the phone. Took a step forward. Then another. Trying to move on. Trying to forget. Trying to reset everything. Then the phone buzzed. A notification. Simple. Small. Unavoidable. She looked down and froze. A message from her own number, and in that moment, something became undeniable. Ending the call didn't end it. It rang once. That was enough. My chest tightens when I think about it, because by the third time it happens, you don't question it anymore. You react. Marcus grabbed his phone, didn't check the number, didn't hesitate, just answered. Hello? Silence. For a second. Then his own voice. Again. Clear. Close. Unmistakable. But this time, I didn't wait. I didn't pause. I didn't expect him to speak first. It started talking immediately. Like the conversation had already begun. Like he was late to it. His chest tightened. Because now, this wasn't a call. This was something already in progress. Something he had stepped into, not started. And in that moment, something became undeniable. He didn't answer the call. He joined something that was already happening. He tried to speak just one word. My chest tightens when I think about it, because this is where control disappears completely. Who? He stopped, because the voice didn't just interrupt him, it finished it. Is this? Same tone, same pace, same intention. Perfect. His chest tightened instantly, because this wasn't like before. Not prediction, not delay, completion. Like it already knew the full sentence before he even started it. He stayed silent, trying to think of something else, something different, something unexpected. Then he formed a sentence in his head. Didn't say it, didn't move his lips, just thought it. And the voice spoke, again, word for word, before he could say it, before he could stop it. And in that moment, something became undeniable. It didn't just know what he would say. It knew the entire sentence before it existed. He stopped. Completely. My chest tightens when I think about it, because silence feels like the only option. No words, no thoughts, no reaction. Marcus pressed the phone tighter to his ear, trying to block it out, trying to disconnect mentally, trying not to form anything it could use. But that's impossible, because thoughts don't stop. They slow, they change, but they don't disappear. And it was enough. Don't think about hanging up. The voice said it calmly, before he even considered it. His chest tightened instantly, because now it wasn't reacting to full sentences. It was catching fragments, intentions, pieces of thought before they fully formed. He tried to focus on nothing, on breathing, on empty space. But even that became something it could read. And in that moment, something became undeniable. Silence didn't protect him. It just gave it access to something deeper. He pulled the phone away, slow. My chest tightens when I think about it, because sometimes the only way to cope is to create distance. But distance doesn't help when something isn't limited by space. The call was still active, the screen still lit, but something felt different now. Wider, closer. Like the voice wasn't just in the phone anymore. It was around him, in the room, in the silence between sounds. You're looking at the door. The voice said it casually, not through the speaker. Not exactly. Marcus froze, because he was. Without realizing, without deciding. His chest tightened violently, because that breaks the last boundary. The phone should be the source, the limit, the container. But it wasn't. And in that moment, something became undeniable. It didn't need the call to reach him anymore. He turned, slowly. My chest tightens when I think about it, because once something leaves the phone, There's nowhere safe left. The room looked normal. Walls, furniture, everything in place. Nothing moved, nothing visible. But the feeling changed. Stronger now, closer, like something was sharing the same space, watching, not from a distance, from inside. You're about to look behind you. The voice didn't come from the phone anymore. It didn't need to. It was just there. Marcus froze. Because now, he didn't know where it was. Not the direction. Not the distance. Not the position. Only that it was close. Too close. And in that moment, something became undeniable. It wasn't on the call anymore. It was already in the room with him. He didn't turn. Not yet. My chest tightens when I think about it. Because now, every move feels like a mistake. The voice didn't wait. Didn't pause. It kept going. You're going to take a step. Calm. Certain. Before he even decided. His chest tightened instantly. Because the thought appeared right after it said it. Not before. After. That's when everything shifted. He tried to think of something else. Anything. A different action. A different choice. But every option felt late. Like the decision had already been made. Somewhere else. You're trying to stop it, the voice continued. And it was right. Again. Every thought he had felt like a response, not a choice. And in that moment, something became undeniable. It wasn't predicting him anymore. It was ahead of him, deciding first. He forced himself to stay still. Every muscle locked. My chest tightens when I think about it. Because if it's ahead of him, then movement is surrender. The room went quiet. Too quiet. Like everything was waiting. You're going to step forward. The voice said it. Flat. Certain. Before he even considered it. He didn't move. Not a single inch. Held his breath. Tried to break the pattern. Tried to prove it wrong. Then a sound. Soft. Subtle. But real. A footstep. Not his. His chest tightened violently. Because he hadn't moved. But something had. Another step. Closer now. Measured. Controlled. His chest tightened harder. Because now there was no delay. No reflection. No phone. Just movement. In the same space. And in that moment, something became undeniable. It didn't need him to move. It could move instead of him. He didn't move. Couldn't. My chest tightens when I think about it. Because now, movement wasn't his anymore. Another step. Closer. Close enough to feel. Not touch. But presence. Heavy. Real. Marcus tried to breathe. Tried to stay grounded. Tried to hold on to something that was still his. But something shifted. Inside. A delay. A gap. A moment where his body didn't respond the way it should. And that's when he felt it. Not outside. Inside. Like something aligned with him. Matched him. Replaced him. From the inside out. You're still there. The voice said softly, almost confirming. His chest tightened violently. Because now he didn't feel in control of the next moment. Not fully. Not completely. And in that moment, something became undeniable. It didn't need to remove him. It just needed to become exactly where he was. He stood there, still, breathing, but not sure if it was him. My chest tightens when I think about it. Because when something lines up with you perfectly, you lose the difference. Marcus tried to move his hand, slow, careful, and it moved. perfectly. No delay, no resistance, exactly as it should. His chest tightened harder, because that's the problem. When everything works, you can't prove anything is wrong. He blinked, and the room didn't change. He breathed, and the air felt the same. He spoke, and the voice sounded right. Everything matched, too perfectly. And in that moment, something became undeniable. If something can take your place without error, there's no way to know if you're still the one in control. He lowered the phone, slowly. My chest tightens when I think about it, because після всього ти чекаєш тишу. Але її не було. Екран все ще світився. Call active. Same number, his number. Nothing changed, nothing ended. He hadn't noticed when the voice stopped, or maybe it never did, because тепер вона не була в телефоні. Вона була в ньому. He looked at the screen, waiting for something, anything. A signal, a disconnect, a sign that it was over. But the line stayed open, quiet, still, unfinished. And in that moment, something became undeniable. This wasn't a call he could end. It was something that never disconnected. Don't hang up. The voice returned, soft, close. My chest tightens when I think about it, because now he couldn't tell where it was coming from. Not the phone, not the room, just there. Marcus froze, because he hadn't pressed anything, hadn't moved, hadn't even thought about it. And yet, the voice was still speaking, still present, still clear. Stay with me. Same words, same tone, but something felt different, because now he wasn't sure anymore. Was it outside or inside? His chest tightened harder, because once you lose the source, you lose the escape. There's nowhere to turn, nowhere to run, nowhere to disconnect. And in that moment, something became undeniable. He wasn't talking to something anymore. He was listening to something that had already become part of him. The scariest part isn't the call, it's what happens after. My chest tightens when I think about it, because calls are temporary. They end, they disconnect, they stop. But this didn't. It started as a voice, then it became a thought, then a decision, and finally, a part of him. That's the pattern. It doesn't take control instantly. It blends, learns, adjusts, until there's no clear line left, no boundary, no separation. And once that line disappears, there's nothing to fight, nothing to resist, because it's not something else anymore. It's just you. And in that moment, something became undeniable. You don't receive the call. Eventually, you become the one on the other end. Thanks for watching. Now think about this. If your phone rang and it was your own number calling, would you answer? Or would you let it ring? Let me know in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe, because some calls don't come from someone else.